Then it'll be SCIFTA, NASA spending trade-off, the Russia CP, and then the critique.
Go Sarah.
Yeah, the counter plan and then the critique at the end. Yeah, just on the obvious. Here goes a second. I still need a little practice for this.
Yeah, but I did paper.
It's okay. I just want to make sure my monitor stays on. All right. Can everyone see me?
Yeah.
All right. Bruce Willis, 1NC1, they say low probability. That's false. That's the 1AC Kunich evidence. NEOs are inevitable, and their ed concedes that NEO strikes have empirically caused extinction. It's a question of when, not if. 1NC2, they say hype. This is wrong again. Our 1NC National Academy's evidence proves that any L risks are not sufficient. The National Academy's most reputable scientific organization in the country prefer our evidence. And 1NC3, they say no extinction. Their ed concedes low probability. We're winning that low risk, high magnitude events outweigh that's on framework truth they drop. And the 1NC concedes both small and medium asteroids coming out. That's our Seidel and Arentza evidence. That's a J. Beebs level event. It causes extinction. We solve now. We can't solve that now because the ground-based telescopes fail. That's the plan. The plan solves that. And broken arrow. 1AC concedes the advantage without detection will use nuclear weapons against NEOs. Up to 1AC best evidence. The impact is that nuclear weapons turn the asteroid into a radioactive lump of metal causing extinction, or it will fragment and burn up all the oxygen in the atmosphere. That's Lou and Bashir. 1NC1, they say no chance of strike. That's the answer above. And 1NC2, they say no ozone depletion. That's not our scenario. It's oxygen depletion. That's way worse. I explained that above. And 1NC3, they say no lead time. This argument is inherency for the app. It means that every second we don't look for NEOs is extinction, which is a reason not to do the counterplan. And if they win this argument, it's at worst try or die for the affirmative. Solvency. They say EU solves. No, they don't. They fail. Task Force 2K. There's no coordination to NEOs in Europe. And 1NC2. They say NASA solves now. False. NASA is failing. It's falling behind in detection. That's 1NC National Academy's evidence. And the evidence concedes NASA's found less than 1% of NEOs now. 1NC3. They say international agencies solve. This evidence is about deflection, which would be great if we knew where asteroids were. The plan solves that. They say Mandelbrot says war still happens. False. The evidence says that conflict happens, but not global conflicts, which only takes out the impact of their dissents. Framework. 1NC concedes framework that loses them the base. First extinction comes first. The magnitude of NEO strike is 100%. Planetary extinction, that risk is far more important than even if 99% of all things die. That's our Kunich evidence. And low probability doesn't mean no impact. If it's a higher magnitude, there's a greater risk from asteroid strikes than higher probability events, and it doesn't turn the case. They concede that the risk value of 100% magnitude events is much higher because everyone dies, and time frame is irrelevant. It assumes they win 100% risk, and nuclear war doesn't cause extinction ball and 6. It was impossible to generate the postulated level of smoke. The amount of smoke produced with the worst case factor 40 times smaller than postulated nuclear winter theories. And skipped it. Case outweighs great power where it's obsolete. That's a Mandelbrot evidence. They can't win escalation in Korea. There's no global nuclear war and no extinction. And extinction is categorically different than any other impact. Matheny, 2007. Even extinction events are improbably include the value of all future life. Asteroids must have much greater risk for the future generations if there's discontinuity between us that have 90% of humanity and those that are 100. And skipped won't pass. TAA, Belgium 2623. Passing to Korea is down one major hurdle is TAA. The Republican Federal programs expensive price tag and won't pass in Korea. Ramstad 621. Some says he's against exchange with difficulty. Lee will have the winning consensus for ratification of opposition parties will boycott the vote. And no spillover. Obama arm twisting this move the Senate once the agenda set. It doesn't matter what he does. Dickinson 2009. Legislative outcomes depend on presidential lobbying. The president power is largely exercised in agenda setting. Whether Obama plays Halo 3 or House or decided votes will have nothing to do with Obama. And politics disads are not intrinsic. Logical decision makers would choose to pass both the plan and SCIFTA. And linked and asteroid surveys are popular as trained to science and discovery. Friedman and 11. There's a shift policymakers want more learning about near objects, including discovery and NEOs, as well as protecting them for them, and winners win. Only a lost cost capital. Robinson 2010. What changed? The short answer is winning. Nothing succeeds like success. And SCIFTA not complete the alliance. Cooper 9. It was difficult to see how the activity would make a difference in strategic relationship. It's unlikely to alter the country's fundamental interest on the peninsula. NASA trade out. 1. Case outweighs funding concerns are irrelevant when survival on the line. Jones and 11. This claim has now is kind of policymakers recognize the planetary defense involves survival. And 2, no linking case that weighs the planet is extremely cheap for the amount of life saved for this evidence. It's comparative, vitamin gold 8. For $1 billion, to improve our knowledge about the threat from asteroids is less than 4% of the annual budget. By comparison, $4 billion for an avian flu initiative is 1,000 times more than the NASA survey program that would severe pandemic would 1% would kill about 70 million people. An asteroid would cause comparable levels of death. And 90,000 pensions cause NASA spending now. New York Times 615. NASA says it will cover pension costs. It's a portion of funding system providing NASA will defer funds from space-related activities and no trade-offs. The plan increases money for Earth sciences. Land is 95. The president of large missions increases funding for science missions. Any new initiative which increases the overall space budget is likely to increase the funding for science, and any new deflection tech solves warming can be in 7. The ability to generate microwave beams. Lost my spot. Beams for power sources is immediately related to asteroid tracking. The same approach to beam power to provide pollution-free commercial power and existing CO2 makes warming inevitable. 8 and 9. The Earth's temperature is likely to jump 6 degrees each. The country cuts emissions. Developing nations are cutting the rest of China loans at 2 degrees, or still facing a 3-degree increase. And Russia. 1. Perm to both the perm provides self-solvency and the perm shields the plan for politics and spending links. Russia would provide the funding in Soviet Russia. Asteroid deflect you. 2. Solvency deficit. The U.S. action keeps solvency. See, that's the dynamic award and for 3 reasons. A. The U.S. action is faster and more efficient. Other countries will be paralyzed. And the NASA and DOD have far better tech. That means that Russia would take forever to catch up. And independently, it's the 4th of July. You can't choose Russia over America. That kills America. And 3 is the solvency deficit. Russian space agency is incompetent. O'Neill 8. Sources highly predict the Russian space agency arguing that it's competent at discover technical faults, citing bad omens, and misinformation will not help Russian efforts in space. And the impact incompetence of this fiction being wrong once about NEOs means we all die. Barbie 9. This is not ethical planetary defense against NEOs being wrong. It's made just one big fate of millions of people or to an entire species. We risk extinction. And the U.S. must take the lead. Russia will use nuclear weapons. The impact of that is our broken arrow advantage. RIA Navasi 8. Russian scientists suggest nuclear explosive device the most effective means protecting the Earth from asteroids. And the counterplan doesn't solve leadership. Garrison Kuapa 8. Planetary defense would translate a competitive advantage for the U.S. solving different problems to create U.S. capital and leadership critical to maintaining our lead in space. Nuclear war, Palestine 95. U.S. leadership include the rise of another house of global war, enabling the war to avoid another hot war in all 10 stages, including global nuclear exchange. And international aid to be bad at first. It's the worst policy option. No policymaker can choose to make a decision between the plan and the counterplan. They cannot decide to have another country to do the plan. B, it's unpredictable. There's no limit on the number of international agents that could potentially have a space program. The act cannot be prepared. And C, reciprocity. The act is bound to the U.S. FG is accurate. The neg should be 2. And international fiat is a voting issue, and conditionality is bad. It causes argument of irresponsibility because the counterplan is a no-risk option. And B, it creates a time and strategy skew. The neg already has enough advantage and justifies act conditionality, which would be worse. And it's a voting issue because rejecting the argument would allow the counterplan to become conditional. Okay. 1. Perm to both plan and alternative are not mutually exclusive. And 2, framework. For our impacts, asteroids are not social constructions, they are rocks. We can't make them bigger or smaller by talking about them. This is not a self-fulfilling prophecy. This means that you have to weigh extinction before ontology. There is no value to life if the planet is dead. And asteroid impacts come first. There's no place for philosophy. Zizek and 9. If we experience the problem, not a true problem, then you don't need philosophy because the threat is a real threat. It's kind of Armageddon. A big comet threatening to hit Earth. You don't need philosophy here. Preventing widespread death proceeds ontological question. Davidson 89. Lebanon's places ethics before ontology, but the mass extermination community is not produce dust and ashes. This is here that questioning must stop, and the negative wholesale rejection of securitization fails. Adopting a framework of issues, specific consequences, evaluation of securitization solves snakes. Impacts while still solving the case. Point 7. What form of security takes is entirely issue-dependent security in general, neither good nor bad. The consequential about is key to rendering this normative dilemma of speaking running security less important as it enables the analyst to evaluate his or her speaking and enables the analyst to study the security question and encourage conspirations to pronounce others. The task of the analyst is to fight ignorance and inform the best possible action. And the all fails. Criticism and security are incapable of reconfiguring securitization discourses. Disconnection from empirical study renders them impotent. Hyde Price in 2001. Its greatest weakness is to reify epistemological problems and push knowledge claims to their logical absurdity. It's necessary to make assessment of non-discursive factors. They are in danger of cutting security studies off